Hello and welcome one and all to Unicorn Light Tarot. If you see a little paw in the corner, that is my little cat Lily. So welcome today. If you are brand new to this channel and it is the first time you are clicking on this video, welcome. And for those of you who are returning, welcome also, welcome one and all. Today we have, as usual for the most part, 3 piles for you to choose from, and we are going to be working with the goddess Freyja today. One of my favorites. She is the goddess of love, fertility, can't even say it, beauty, war, and death. So she's efficient in Norse magic. So she's an excellent goddess to work with for achieving your desires, ultimate health, and prosperity. Now, Freyja is said to preside over the afterlife, so she's able to move between realms. It's an easy feat for her. It's also said that she's able to shapeshift into a falcon, and her magic is close to that of a shaman. So Freyja is particular form of magic, which she taught throughout the land, was able to show people their future so they could change it. So she's a wonderful goddess to work with today for figuring out future events, where you're heading based on the energy that you have. If you have any health issues and you're working with desire, particularly with prosperity, wanting to get more prosperity and beautiful abundance in your life, that's where we are today with Goddess Freyja. She will be able to help with all of that. And as always, we have our healing candle. So if there's any energy you do not need, you can project it right onto the candle and release. You can also bring in beautiful energy of abundance and healing, because we have our magic oil that was blessed and made under the full moon many moons ago. It was also an eclipse. We're also coming into eclipse season again. A couple of eclipses before the end of the year. Yeah, we're not done with eclipses yet. So at the end of the moon cycle, the end of November, we have a lunar eclipse. So a powerful time for us to work with our beautiful goddess Freyja. So for the first pile, we have our, I always choose these. Oh God, yeah, Lily's getting right into that there. So I always choose these from my fridge, but I do close my eyes when I point. So I swear I don't know what my finger is pointing at. And then it goes pile 1, 2, and 3. So the first pile has the word what, and I immediately thought of what next. But again, these are always up for interpretation. Everything in your life should be up for interpretation. There's no wrong or right way to say or do anything. But that's what I immediately thought for pile 1. And purple is our pile 2, which of course is the higher chakras and attached to spirituality there. So if you're looking for higher consciousness answers, that could be your pile. And then dress was the word that came in for pile 3. And I immediately thought of sort of armor. How do you dress yourself every day? How do you protect yourself? Do you need to protect yourself? Is there a need to release and no longer protect? So those are the words that are on each pile. Of course, they're up for interpretation. So go ahead and choose which pile suits you and your energy and you're being drawn to, regardless of the words or not. And do take your time. The more you are aligned with this energy, of course, the better the reading will resonate one way or another. So take as much time as you possibly need. You're welcome to, of course, do a little meditation, whatever you want to do. Pause the video. The timestamps are always linked down below. And Lily, can you just settle, please? Yeah, she's going to settle there in the corner. This is her space when I'm... Nope. There you go. When I'm not reading, this is her space. So, you know, we have to work together on this. So, yes, take as much time as you need. The timestamps, as always, are down below. So let me go ahead and move these out of the way. So if you chose pile 1 and you chose what is next, or your interpretation of what means, remember we have the healing candle. You can release anything that you no longer want or need. You can project that onto the candle, any kind of negativity that you just let it go, or you can pull in abundance and healing, pretty much whatever you want. These sessions are always set up for healing, activation, and of course messages, whatever you need. So we are checking in with the goddess Freyja today. I'm going to leave it completely open and up to her as to what message is coming in for you. And we have our 2 tarot cards here, and then we have our oracle cards. So let's see, let's get right into your reading after we clear up your space a little bit. So we have the 3 of Athames, the 3 of Swords here, and you have the Witch, number 1. Absolutely wonderful. I think this is the Green Witch. Yes, the Green Witch Tarot. So I love these cards. Let's see what else we have too. We have the Cat, independent, healthy boundaries. And then play, have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. And you also have the celebration and the dance. So let's see for you, pile 1, what is next for you? I apologize for the lighting today. It's actually during the day and I've got all the lights on, but I feel like it's not as clear as usual, but I can't really do much about that. So what is next for you? Pile 1. It's a celebration of who you are. It's acknowledging where you are is enough. We feel as though the message that I'm getting quite clearly is a lot of you have reached a certain plateau, and it's become quite confusing for you as to how to move forward, or and these are obviously general reading, so take what resonates, but how to move forward on your own terms. Now, some of you are questioning the next move. Now, you've put down, I keep seeing you putting down tiles like in the bathroom. So you've been laying the groundwork for something, and you're wondering if it's going to take off. And you're wondering if the effort that you've put in will be shown in the external, and all the efforts that you've been doing. You're wondering if, did you waste your time? Are you supposed to be? Are you exactly where you are? And it feels as though for you, pile 1, there's been this plateau. You've gotten to a certain stage in your life where it looks like something's very promising and it's going to take off. And it's not ever really taken off for the most part in the way that you anticipated it would, or the way in which you hoped it would. And you've had a very specific understanding or idea about how this would look, how your success would look. So the one thing that I'm getting from Goddess Freyja, and of course she's, fertility, love, beauty, and war and death too. So she does understand the fighting. She was also fierce and known for sort of killing a lot, to be quite blunt. So she knows all cycles of life. She knows when things need to die and when things need to sort of be recreated, when things need to come into creation to be born. For you, understanding the cycles of life and really being in tune with who you are and what you truly want versus what you think everything should look like, including success. You're being asked, pile 1, to see your life as a series of successes. Now, bear with us right now while we talk you through this. So, the one thing that I'm getting here is that the way in which you see things is causing your letdown. And then the way in which you see things, it's not only causing your letdown, it's providing a sort of platform of negativity for you a little bit. But it's not a big deal, and it's not seeping into every aspect of your life. So it's not really huge. But this platform here that you've caused, or that you're bringing in because your version of success is very specific, and you've not been open to what it is that you're really supposed to do, which is an aspect of what you put your energy into. So you're not going to go off completely and start brand new. And even if you do decide to do that, for some of you who may be deciding to do that, that's wonderful. But the what is already there. You already have a platform or foundation very clearly of what it is and who it is that you want to be. And not only that, what it is and who it is you want to be for the world. So it wouldn't really be brand new, just the actions that you're bringing to your version of success would be different. So we're asking you to tweak your perception here in some ways. We're asking you to leave behind the version of you that existed when you wanted to be, that version of success. So I hope we're not being too cerebral here. I hope you're staying with me. So the one thing that we're getting here is that you've spent a lot of time really protecting yourself. What's next? You've also spent a lot of time that when you've moved forward in your life and you've learned certain things and you've kept yourself quite protected. And that's fine. You've kept yourself sort of out of the world in a way. Even if you were fully integrated into the world, your body, your mind wasn't. So what we're asking you to do is to stay open, or to open yourself to every aspect and the sphere of life instead of moving forward in a linear fashion. If there's any disappointments, or if there's any doubt about, or any feelings of stagnation, even frustration about moving forward, for you, Pile 1, it's about a tweak in your perception. It's about how you view yourself, how you view specifically success. Many people would be thrilled to be where you are right now. But of course, there's that element of constantly comparing yourself to others who were doing things. And I've said this before in other readings. It's not that you want other people's career. It's not that you're willing or you want to do what they have done to get there. Now, it's not that you're not into hard work. You're very hardworking. You're extremely focused. You're very intense about what it is that you want. If anything, we can accuse you, if accusing is the right word, of being overly intense, over-focusing on what you want. You tend to over-focus, and when you over-focus, you kind of bleed everything out. You bleed out other options. And for you, the clear message that I'm getting is that you move forward in the beauty of life. When you come into the celebration of life, when you come into the play of life, a lot of you came in or got the impression as you were growing up that everything had to be hard work. Everything had to be really worked for. Now, there's definitely work that needs to be done, especially on the spiritual path. And a lot of you are creative types, but you integrate a lot of that work into what you do. But it's not that exactly, but you're expecting, the expectation of everything to be difficult. Or if something goes really well, or you get something that comes into your life that's absolutely beautiful, it needs to be balanced out by something that's not so great. So you're being asked to really look at where you are and to have praise and thanks for where you are and celebrate where you are. Celebrate everything that you've achieved in this lifetime thus far. No matter if you think it's not enough or not, in the present moment, to celebrate every conquest that you had, every time that you stood for those boundaries, even if you feel like they were too late and you should have done them the year before, it does not matter. We're asking you to stand where you are, sit where you are, be where you are, and celebrate all of your accomplishments now. Then the second thing that we're asking for you to do is to accept the beauty that's in your life. Now, your guides, I'm hearing very clearly that your guides are trying to tell you and let you know in no uncertain terms that you can have an easy life. And easy insofar as like manifestation comes in very quickly, abundance can come in very quickly, you can maintain a level of success that you want, and that you have been systematically moving towards doing that. You've done the work to get here, but you're kind of keep punching yourself in the face. It's kind of an almost violent, yet sort of, the cartoon characters that are doing that. I thought it's Tom and Jerry, that's sort of like constantly sort of sabotaging yourself in a way. And it's because there's an element of control, pile one. You've done everything you can for yourself. You're being asked to release and allow in this sort of celebration and play type atmosphere into who you are and surrounding your work. And then from there, this new level of commitment comes in for you. This new level of commitment of joy and of beauty. A lot of you have been moving through life sort of, things are on a list and you're ticking them off. I've done this to move forward. I've done that. I've done that. And even as you move through the day, even if there's a sense of ease to you, there's still a sense of I have to. Instead of a sense of I get to do this versus I have to do this. So, as you approach what you want to do to bring you the success, there's still just a remnants of it being work. Okay? So you're being asked to see it as a celebration. You're being asked to put joy and play around it, that it's not work, that you get to do this, and it's an honor to do it. And when you bring back that aspect of beauty in your life, everything shifts. Now, we want to be really clear. I've said this before in the last couple of months. It's not about going down the rabbit hole. You've done the work already. You've overdone the work. It's almost like you've taken, the same test 3 or 4 times, and you keep passing with flying colors, and yet you keep going back to the same test and trying to take it over and over again. You are exactly where you need to be for everything to open up, the world to open up to you in the way that you want. It's a tweak in perception. Again, coming back to the celebration of everything you are and everything that you've achieved. And remember, a lot of people would absolutely die to be in the position that you are in, even if you do not feel it's enough. You're always striving, you're extremely ambitious, but the other side of that, the negative side to that, pile one, is that sometimes things are not enough. Even when you achieve something, it's not enough. We want you to celebrate everything that you achieve. And instead of going, oh, that was wonderful, but now I'm ready to do this. Yes, that's fine, but you don't spend the time really pondering over your achievements and what it is that you have achieved thus far. We already know that you don't think it's enough. We already know that you have the ambition and the beauty. You've done the hard work to get to exactly where you want to be. But seeing life as this sort of journey without the joy, or as much joy as you can interject in there, means that you're pulling yourself out of the magic that could happen. There's a beauty in these magical synchronicities that happen when you really release and you allow the universe to co-create with you. Now, you're so used to doing things on your own because you're fiercely ambitious, fiercely independent, absolutely one way or another. Whether you're in a relationship or not, you'll still be extremely independent. You also don't like to be told what to do. And that's fine. The reason is that most people that have told you what to do didn't know what they were talking about. So you had to defend yourself from that sort of ideology that you were expected to do this because of X, Y, and Z. And it may have made sense to them, but it certainly didn't make sense to you. So, but you're still sort of fighting this ideology of accepting help. It's very difficult for you to accept help. You're willing to give it, but you're not willing to sort of take it in. And even if you do take in help, it's sort of on your own terms. You start to take it in, you may not feel great about it, but there's even a level to which you will accept it. The universe is asking here, and the goddess Freyja, your messages from her is to allow in the beauty. And therein lies how you move forward. And therein lies the route for you to accept the beauty that is destined for you and for you to supremely attract it. There's nothing more physical for you to do necessarily, except for to tweak your energy and to release. Remember, we're talking about alignment, not control. Now, in the past, people have gotten in your way and tried to stop you. So there was this understanding that you had to be somewhat controlled in your environment. You had to be somewhat controlled to protect what you were doing. And that's how you got things done. You did sequester yourself to get things done. There's also a part of you that's a fierce loner. And that's because you're an intense empath. So, you're like a sponge. You take in so much energy. So sometimes sequestering yourself so you can figure out your energy and yours alone means that you have a much quicker route to where you need to be. You're not dealing with anything. You're not dealing with anybody else's drama. You're not dealing with anything that's outside of yourself because you didn't always know where somebody else started and you began. So it meant that if you started a task, you could finish it quicker if you protected your energy and you knew what you were doing, right? Nobody else was getting in the way. And that was successful for you, and that was wonderful. There's no judgment there. The way in which you worked, you were very good at figuring out a situation, figuring out how you could get ahead in that situation based on who you were, what energies were around you, and that's why you're ultra independent. And that's why you are driven to have this kind of success, because you literally can be successful with anyone, any situation, because you've learned to work within every situation and learn to get through all of that. You've had to. But now, the way in which you've worked thus far, which has been significantly wonderful for you, but you're now asked to be receptive. You have incredible intuition. You're being asked to slow down, use your breath. Your breath is connected not just to the air, but your guides and your angels. Through breath work, you will be able to find the answers to move forward. Let's just say I'm being shown, you ask a question. You'll go for the most difficult answer in some ways because you're used to overworking in order to get the results that you want. You no longer need to do that. So you're taking too much of your energy and too much of your time and applying it to your present situation, and you're not getting the results that you want. It's almost like in the past you were sort of walking through quicksand. You never quite went under. Sometimes you thought you were going to, but you always got through it, but it was tough work. So you've got these incredible muscles for surviving, and they're wonderful. But what you're being asked to do is to leave that aspect of your past behind, because you're using that same kind of gumption, that you're overworking the energy that's here. You're doing too much. It seems weird to say, Pal One, but it doesn't make it any less true. You're overworking the situation. You're seeing too much. You're putting too much energy into it. You're just being asked to release into what is next. And remember, everything you've set up for a foundation is there for you. It is worked in some way. So trust. Remember, celebrate everything that you've achieved. Let in that play, that joyful energy. In that energy, you will attract the results that you want. A lot of you have actually put out energy into the world and you're waiting for it to come back. The way in which it comes back is if you let it go completely without this area of your mind trying to control the results or trying to control when it will come back and how it will look. And in the past, you really wanted to do that because it was important for you. You got very overwhelmed with your emotions. So, you wanted to see how things could go so you could be prepared for it. So you would be able to prepare yourself so you wouldn't get overwhelmed. But you've dealt with your emotionality. You've integrated your emotionality. That no longer is going to concern you. It no longer needs to concern you, that overwhelming aspect of self. So again, celebrate exactly where you are. for exactly what it is. Remember, you get to do things. You get to do things. You don't have to do things. Bringing back that joy and that play, knowing that you've done everything to bring you to this point. There's nothing more that you need to do except to release, let go, work with your guides and your angels. You can work with Goddess Freyja here through breath work. Call her in. Archangel Ariel is coming in for you too. That's another angel. You're welcome to look her up for success and beauty. Bringing this beautiful aspect to your life, making things easier. Your mantra is, everything comes to me effortlessly. Now, as you say it, there might be a part of your brain that goes, no, it won't. And that's how you thought before. So if there's an aspect of the old that's still coming up for you, do a little meditation and release it. You've done the work. It's not truly attached to you, but everything should be effortless at this point. And we want you to have that beauty and that joy around working in your life, instead of seeing everything as a list to tick off. I've done this, I'm expecting this result. So let's see, we have these soul cards here. I'm going to give you the message that I get from two of these cards, but we really want you to interpret these cards in your heart, the way in which you see them too, bringing yourself back to your own sense of magic and getting your own messages from these cards. And everything's up for interpretation too. But definitely with these cards specifically, again, these are soul cards. So absolutely working with your light and dark self. Again, the lighting here is not ideal. So the beauty and the outline of this darkness here maybe is not as clear as I would like. But working within that shadow, again, don't go down that rabbit hole. You've done the healing, but really go in and in meditation or in breath work, just work with the old ideology here of everything having to be a certain way in order to achieve. There's an essence of perfectionism too that needs to be released. It would be good for you to think of everything being quite sloppy. Think of yourself, things can be quite sloppy and you can still make it. It's this idea that everything has to be in place and then I'll take off. That very often doesn't work that way. So we want you to be sloppy a little bit. We want you to invite in the imperfection. You know that you're imperfect. You know that everybody's imperfect, but you also have this perfectionism standard. We want you to let that go. We also want you to look into the notion that everything needs to be difficult or everything needs to be held together, otherwise it will fall apart. The universe is holding everything for you together. It's an illusion that we have it together. We don't. It's how open we are to the universe and how well we work with the universe. That is how really accomplished people get to where they are. Yeah, of course, some of it's hard work, and some of it's talent. Sometimes it isn't. It really is your energy and your belief system and the reality of being able to let go and have that joyful life. We want you to move into the joyful life and enjoy every aspect of your life. So if there's anything that's holding you back, in that way, use breath work to release it. Again, don't go down that rabbit hole. You've done all that shadow work. So again, any way that you see this beautiful card, any message that you're getting from Goddess Freyja, from her to you, is your own personal private message. And one more here. The gloriousness of you. The gloriousness of you. See? It's almost like you're trying to move forward with one eye closed. And the way in which that's happening is because you're trying to control or use the old facets of your old life to move forward. You already know it's not working. And sometimes you do open up to the universe. And when the results aren't that quick, then you revert back to the old way. So in order for your two eyes to be completely open here, you have to trust in all this beauty that's around you. You have to trust. You don't have to do anything, but we would like you to be open to trusting the energy around you. In many situations before Pile 1, you were not in a position to trust the energy that was around you. And we totally understand that, but we want you to be reminded that the universe always worked in your favor, always. So lumping the universe into who you need to protect yourself from, or only partially open up to, is not of consequence here. The universe was always there on your side. So opening up that second eye, looking into your future, working with celebration and brightness and play, and really giving over your wants to the universe. And I promise you, we promise you without a shadow of a doubt, what it is that you thought you could achieve is only a partial conquest of what you can actually achieve in this lifetime if you allow it to come into fruition. It's actually knocking, all of the opportunities that are coming to you are knocking on your door right now. It's a matter of whether you will hear the knock and whether you will open the door. So again, you're welcome to sit with this card and see if there's a personal message from Freyja, from her to you. So that's what I have for you, Pile 1. I hope we gave you a little bit of support, a little bit of guidance, some active energy, and some movement forward. Some idealized movement forward for you to work with the universe. And again, everything is at your fingertips. It's just a matter of letting it in. So if this resonated with you, do feel free to give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys if this resonated with you. And do not forget, we have many different ways down below, in the section below of the Unicorn School of Light. Courses to take, lots of other ways to get support and guidance. All the details are down below. I will leave that up to you to go and peruse at your own will. All right, my darlings, take care, stay safe and sane. Pile 1 until we meet again. Bye-bye. Okay, all you Pile 2ers out there, a small apology for the lighting here. It's actually very bright outside and I have lights on, but for some reason we're getting this sort of darkness one side and shadow, so apologies for that. So if you chose purple, spirituality, and don't forget we have Goddess Freyja here too. Love, fertility, beauty, war, and death. We got a lot of beautiful messages for Pile 1 about accepting the beauty in your life. So let's see what we have for you. Do not forget that you can project any of the negativity that you feel, anything that you need to release onto the magic candle, or bring in any kind of abundance and manifestation for you. These sessions are here to support you, send you love, activate healing, pretty much whatever it is that you need. So we have 2 tarot cards. I think this is the Green Witch Tarot, great tarot, and then we have some oracle cards for you too. So let's have a look. The Wheel of the Year, the Wheel of Fortune, and 10 of Wands. Absolutely wonderful. So Pile 2, let's go ahead and get your protection here. And then we have deep replenishment. And again, apologies. Oh, if I put these down like this, you'll probably be able to see it better. Protection. Then you have deep replenishment, retreat, rest, be held. I love that image of being held by the universe, and blessings with the rainbow. So different energy than Pile 1, but we've got a similar message, and I'm not surprised with the goddess of love and beauty and fertility. It's about you are about to reach the heights that you want to. So this is a time to rest up. This is almost like a time before everything sort of takes off. So if any of you are wondering whether, or if you've gone through this kind of like mental stagnation period, and we want to say it's mental because it's in your head, everything is moving forward. Everything is flowing for you, Pile 2. You may not recognize it as flowing and moving forward because A, it may not be moving either as fast as you want it, or in the direction or in the way that you think it should look like. Your perception of how things look versus how they really are are about to come in one-on-one here very, very soon. So it's about appreciating, again, very similar to pile one in some ways, appreciating how far you've come. You are very, very aware, pile two, of anger keeps coming up, but the anger and the passion, how you've used your energy in order to get as far as you have been. Even if you're nowhere near where you think you should be, you've actually accomplished so much. It's an incredible feat. And you've used every aspect of your soul to get there. You've used your anger, you've turned it into passion, you've done this alchemist process, and now you're at the point where you're absolutely exhausted, right? So pile two, if some of you, these are always general readings, so and not every aspect of the reading needs to be completely for you, but please take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And if the entire reading resonates, then it was absolutely meant for you through and through. So that's wonderful. So if you are one of the ones in pile two here who's chosen this pile where you feel exhausted, and it's not the normal level of like, oh, I don't feel right, or I'm a little bit tired, let me just put on a movie and do a little Reiki, whatever it is that you do, make that pot of tea. This is like a level of exhaustion where you're worried that there might be something wrong with you, like real exhaustion, like your body is exhausted, your mind is exhausted, your soul is exhausted. And that's because it's taken you everything in order to get to where you are. And you constantly did that to yourself. You gave more at times in your life than you really had energy for. You always went above and beyond for other people also. You've always made like 120% effort when everybody else put in 80%, right? Now that's who you were. And that's wonderful too. What you're learning, pile two, is this ease forward and we're just going to say this to you, and if it doesn't hit home, bear with it for a minute. Less is more. Okay, this is not going to sit with your sensibility, but we do want you to look at this. Make less of an effort to gain more results. Now that's really strange, but bear with me. Let me explain a little bit further. With directed effort, but less effort, but directed effort. You don't need to be constantly exhausted. It's almost like you put all of your energy and then some into every situation and everything that comes in to your life. Now that means if there's a conversation that comes in, people come into your life, you'll overthink it. Anything that comes into your life, you overthink, you take all on the information. There's so much energy that goes into every little thing that you do. Again, with simple conversations, with analysis of relationships that you've had. I mean, you overthink everything. Now, it's not that you're a classic overthinker in that way. You would be happy not to overthink things, but you like to take things apart to be able to establish a relationship with how you did it. So when you put it together again, you don't have to make the same mistake. You genuinely don't want to make the same mistake again. You're very responsible for your own energy. Now, even if you've had a loop of a certain type of person that's come into your life to teach you things, even if you go back and go, oh, that was the same kind of person, they weren't. It was the same sort of energy, but each time and you're very good at this because you'll go back and again, you'll pull everything apart. You'll go back to every single relationship that you thought was exactly the same person, and you'll see in every single instance you actually learned something profound and new in every single thing. But you weren't free completely from that loop. And when you were, there's no remnants of that energy coming into your life again. But you've never replayed the same mistake ever, ever, ever again. A lot of people do. You haven't. And you're very responsible for your energy, and that's wonderful. But again, you're applying that mindset, which is exhaustive, right, into what you're doing now, expecting the same results. Now, your journey is glorious. Now, the beautiful thing about your journey, Pal 2, and it is absolutely glorious, and Freyja wants you, again, like Pal 1, to celebrate everything that you are and everything that you've accomplished, because you've done it with integrity. Even at times when you were at your least integrous, when you had your least integrous moment, you still had a vast amount more integrity than the people that were in and around you. You've always had a sense of integrity, even when you didn't always have a sense of self. Because again, extreme empath, taking on other people's energies, and you've always attracted loud, sort of vivacious. You are too, but you've always wanted to give people the sort of the room to be themselves. And sometimes that room that you gave other people put you in a box, took you out of the limelight a little bit. Now you're actually saying to yourself, you're saying to the universe, I'm ready for the limelight. I've done this work. I know what I'm doing. I would be of use out there in the world the way in which I want to be integrated into the world. And absolutely that is true. You've also learned who you're not. So you're able to work with every energy that comes in and around the limelight, because, you know, it's sort of like flies to the bright light. You know, not all great energy when you get up on that sort of stage is going to be for you necessarily. But, and you know, years ago, 10 years ago, 8 months ago even, you probably wouldn't have dealt with, you probably would have been quite hurt by people's reaction to you, and you have been systematically through your life, because you've definitely been projected upon. But you now have accepted that people are the way that they are. And you've accepted that you're not here to heal everybody. You're here to be a beacon of light, and you can take it or leave it. It's funny because you put so much effort into everything that you've done, but you're no longer putting that kind of effort into trying to heal people and trying to make everything okay for other people. That's a lesson that you have learned. Unfortunately, Pile 1, you kind of learned that the hard way. That was not an easy thing for you to learn, because you wanted people to be so okay sometimes. You stayed in relationships or in situations that were really really dramatic and detrimental to you, but you wanted to protect either somebody else, or you wanted them to be okay. It's almost like you've been in the flame and the fire. You've destroyed yourself so many times, you no longer have an ego. So you can trust that you don't have an ego and you won't be working from it. But you've learned your lesson that people need to step up and do the work themselves. It's icky, nasty, often disgusting and very hard work. But it's the work that you've done for yourself, and it cannot be done for another, right? So you've accepted that. You're no longer doing that. You know, you would be a great person for like risk assessment. I'm not suggesting that you ever do, but, you know, taking a situation, risk assessing, you know, breaking down all components of every situation, every conversation, everything. You would be amazing at that. I mean, and you would be paid the big bucks for that. But that was the old you. And, you know, and all of those beautiful qualities will be applied to your new life, your new existence coming in a brand new way. So you're being asked again the same way that Goddess Freyja asked upon Pile 1, to celebrate everything that you've accomplished thus far, without any negativity, without, I've done this, but I still want to know. Accept everything that you've done and congratulate yourself, and have that celebratory feeling of everything that you've done and everything that you've achieved thus far. Now, we also want to remind you that everything that you have been planting your bulbs of success for many, many years now, 10 years and past, even if you don't think you have been doing it in such a way that when you think about it, and if you go back into what we're asking you to do, put on some music, go into a meditative state, state, and get yourself in that ideology where you're celebrating all of your victories, everything that you've done. In that mindset, you will be able to see that there was a very clear sort of movement forward with everything that you've learned. Everything will click into place. Everything you've learned was for this moment, so you could take off, right? So if you don't see it immediately, we urge you to go back and do that little exercise. A little bit of breath. You can call in Goddess Freyja, but she wants you to concentrate on the beauty and the celebration of what you've done. Okay, and again, none of the negative. In order for us to achieve what we're supposed to achieve, Can I speak today? I don't know. To achieve what it is that we're supposed to achieve, we have to go through the mire. We have to go through the mud. We have to fall flat on our face. Very often we have to be quite embarrassed about what we've just said and whatever. Own all of it and release it and let it go. It's all part and parcel of having those beautiful victories and then allowing those celebrations to come in. It's all part and parcel of it. You can't have that true celebration and invite it into every cell in your body and accept it in your soul. If you go, oh yeah, but I did this. Oh, that's so cringeworthy. Let it go. So what? Have a laugh over it. Yeah, kind of acted like an idiot there. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So what? Embrace it. That's part of it. If you hadn't had that part of it, you wouldn't have had the celebratory part of it, of having that victory. If you're willing to put yourself into those situations and constantly fall down and still get up and learn those lessons and be responsible for your energy, that's pure celebration. That's the beauty that Goddess Freyja wants you to concentrate on, and not all of that other stuff. That's inconsequential. That stuff got you to the celebration. You couldn't have gotten to that celebration without acting like an idiot sometimes. So suck it up. It's over, right? The negative stuff is over. And again, you're ready to take off. You'll be able to see through those celebratory moments, you'll be able to see this thread, almost like a spider's web of creativity, as it grew and grew and grew. You're about to take off. It's about to come into fruition. What it is that you wanted, it will look different to what it is that you thought that you wanted, but what it is that you're getting is going to be so much more glorious than what you've asked for. And we want you to rest. We want you to rest up, and we want you to rest in this essence of beauty and receiving, this openness, so you can allow it to come in. Again, very different energy. But the same symbol is coming up. The same symbolism is coming up for pile 1. Insofar as there's a knock at the door, the universe is knocking. Will you open the door? If you have a sense of beauty and peace, you will be able to open that door to all the abundance that's coming in. But this is a rest period for you. If you're exhausted, it's because you're overworking your energy. We want you to work in more directive energy, but using less energy. You don't need to use the old age, work till I die kind of thing here. That you picked up, that part of that is from your DNA, but you've worked with your bloodlines, you've released that now. So you need to see how it's still relevant in your mindset, even though you've released it from your bloodlines. You may have inherited that notion that everything needs to be hard. You've got to work really hard. And not only that, specifically, you've got to protect what you've earned, or it could be taken. That's another thing that was passed down in your DNA. Now that bloodline has been cleansed, so that's gone. But where it's still applicable in some essences of your aura, you just need to sort of tweak with and release. There's no threads or cords for it anymore because, like we've said, you've cleared your bloodline. So this is just a matter of like where it still exists. Oh, that's still there? Oh, girl, that's old. Let it go, right? So please rest, but rest your soul. Don't just rest your body. Rest your soul in celebratory fashion, knowing that your beauty is coming. And I say this all the time, instead of moving forward in a linear fashion where we're on this track, it's going to happen this way, we're going to do A, B, C. That's the old way of doing things. We've seen how that works with that sort of mentality in all kinds of aspects of our lives. We're now asking you to live spherically, where you're open, you see universal truth, you stand for unity, you're working beyond polarity, and that you can allow in all of the information and all of the healing and all of the prosperity that you need. It doesn't have to be one way of doing things, the right way. I'm on this path, it has to happen this way. Sometimes you get into that, but your soul is very much about being open and seeing what happens. You have two sort of aspects to your personality, where you're sort of this perfectionist, overworking, overanalyzing, and then there's this other aspect of you that's like, pardon my French, fuck it, let's just see what happens, right? So we're asking you, with beauty and gorgeousness, Goddess Freyja is asking you to meld those two gorgeousness of your personality so you can just be open, live spherically, and be open to all this beautiful abundance and magic that's coming, that you've already laid the ley lines for. That's an excellent thing. You see, you know, when you're channeling, particularly when stuff comes up, you know it's not you when you're seeing all this stuff come up, but I never would have used the terminology ley lines. You've been laying your ley lines. You can look up ley lines. We actually have one, I believe. There's one in Sedona for sure. There's ley lines all over the world. I think there's 5 or 6, maybe 10 of them, I'm not sure. There's one up in Taos. I think there's one near Santa Fe too, but you know, in and around New Mexico. But you've been working and you've been laying your ley lines, your own personal spiritual footprint on this earth since you were born, one way or another. And you've been working very hard at it. So it will take off. It will happen. You've done everything you possibly can to ensure your creativity gets seen, your beauty gets seen. There's no stone that you have left unturned, pile 2. Remember, you're an overworker. You're an overachiever. There's no way that you dropped the ball on any essence of what you've ever done. So please rest up. Please integrate those two aspects of yourself. Please look back into your mind and see where your bloodline has been cleared, but you might still think, there might be an aspect of yourself that still thinks that things need to be hard or things need to be protected. This essence of beauty and laughter and joy, this rainbow essence, I love this deep replenishment, but allow yourself to be held, right? Be held. Don't just sit and replenish. That's one stage of it. We want you to have your soul held in that. You will feel the kind of protection that you've never felt from the universe before, that will urge you to open up and will get you ready for what it is that you have been working for your entire life. You are absolutely there. This is, you know, and we want to be clear, this is not the end result. When you get what you want, it will be the beginning of a new aspect of living for you. It won't be the end. It won't be like, oh, I've achieved this, woohoo, let's retire. The work is just beginning in many ways, but it's going to be joyful, soul-fulfilling work. You've always had the alchemist eye. You've always been able to work with this energy. You've always gotten where you've needed to go. Now rest. And again, let yourself be held so you can move forward, and then you'll be completely ready when you open that door, because the universe is about to knock. So we have these soul cards here. I'm going to pick 2 for you. They're beautiful cards. I'm going to give you a message that I'm getting from Goddess Freyja, but I want you to, everything's up for interpretation. Everything in your life and every aspect of your life, but particularly with these cards, I want you to look at the card and see if there's a personal message just from Goddess Freyja to you, beyond what I am seeing. So, absolutely. The birth is coming. You're coming into this birth realm. You're about to be birthed. So, you know, you've even got your hands, you're ready to go. And again, we want this to be an easy birth for you, full of joy and beauty and this sense of ease. Your mantra, everything comes with a sense of ease. The way in which you see things, you know, when you're sensing a new birth in your life, and you've been rebirthed several times, pile 2, you often make the labor a lot more intense than it needs to be. Now, let's not equate this to actually having a child. For those of you who've actually had a child, I'm not suggesting, you know, that birth is easy. So, you know, we're just talking about the birth of the soul here, not an actual human being. So no offense to mamas. And, 30% to all mamas out there that have actually physically birthed a child. So, you know, don't make the birthing period for you more than it needs to be. Allow it to be gorgeous, coming into the light. and just allow yourself to work with the universe. See it as sort of the drums, you know, working with the rhythm of the universe. And as you birth out, they are holding you. They are holding every aspect of you. You don't need to take everything in your own hands and apply this old, let's make sure everything, you know, let's do this, let's do that, let's make sure everything's ready, and let's just have a real easy new birth into this brand new way that's coming in, and you will feel brand new. And it's funny because whatever is coming to you and you've sowed the seeds for, you have thought about it so often. You've often thought that you would know what it feels like when it comes in, but you won't. So again, you know, take your time, even stop the video, you know, pause the video if you need to. If there is a private message from Goddess Freyja to you, that is her gift to you. And then we're going to do one more here. This one's calling your name. Oh, absolutely gorgeous here. So this one, I'm just being told that it's just from Goddess Freyja to you. So just have a little think about that. I'm going to make sure you see her beautiful face on this beautiful flower here. So take your time and interpret that the way in which you want to. And again, if you need to go ahead and pause the video, please do. But there's a message for you from Goddess Freyja. So that's what I have for you, pile 2. Your spiritual journey, your purple, beautiful spiritual journey is definitely taking you to new heights. We've given you some underlying factors, some support, hopefully some practical advice and help, which we always love to do in Unicorn Light Tarot. And also some activation and healing and a private message from Goddess Freyja there. So we honestly hope that this hit home with you and it did support you in the way that you were expecting. If this did resonate with you, feel free to give me a thumbs up. And do let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. And of course, if you're not part of the family, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell icon for the Unicorn Light Tarot family. We'd love to have you. And do not forget, down below there are several different ways to gain more support and love and to work in and around this energy with the Unicorn School of Light and other ways. All the details are down below. If you feel called to check them out, then go ahead and do that. All right, my darlings, pile 2, you stay safe and sane until we meet again. Bye-bye. Okay, all you gorgeous pile 3ers out there, if you chose pile 3, dress for the world. How I got the vision of what it is that you put on, your outer clothing to be in the world. But you can interpret that any way that you want. So we have pile 3, we're working with Goddess Freyja. We've gotten some beautiful messages of love, unity, and beauty specifically. We'd accept nothing less from Goddess Freyja. Of course, we're going to get that. And let's not forget, if there's any kind of negativity or anything that you're trying to release, go ahead and take a couple of breaths and release onto the candle, or you can use the candle to bring in healing, abundance, and manifestation. It is set up for everything here. So again, we are checking in with Goddess Freyja. So we have 2 of these. I think it's the Green Witch Tarot, and then we have 3 Oracle cards. So let's get right into your reading. Ooh, we have Harvest here and the Holly King. I apologize a little bit. It's very bright outside and I have lights on, but the lighting is a little bit strange and darker than I would like it to be in some ways. So we have the Holly King and we have Harvest. Let's get right into these 2. Yes, the Stag, pride, leadership, absolutely. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. Soul family. And then New Moon and Promise. So I love this reading because it all works together. You are absolutely ready. And, you know, I'm not surprised. I feel like this has been happening in a lot of my readings recently where there are different energies, certainly, and different sort of focuses in each pile, but they all sort of relate to each other because we're working with Goddess Freyja, but she's working with where we all are in the cosmos right now with collective energy, right? So again, very different energy, but also a notion that you share with pile 1 and pile 2 is that you're ready to take that leadership role. You're ready to be seen the way in which you wanted to. You did a lot of things sort of behind closed doors in a way, pile 3. You have a protective nature. I think you have that in common with pile 2, but again, very, very different energy. You have more of a secretive nature. And it's kind of a glorious thing. You know, I don't know if you're necessary, I don't want to reduce you down to being a Scorpio, but you have Scorpionic sort of energy insofar as that you sort of, you know, that energy of keep your energy, what was it? Keep your enemies closer, that sort of thing. You know, you work very well with others, but you have the secret notion. So when you learn something, you can kind of go down the rabbit hole, but at the same time, you keep everything sort of close to your chest. You might have a very stoic nature or have had in the past. You could be in some ways quite difficult to know. And this is where it's really interesting for you, pile 3, because a lot of people will claim that they know you, right? And they actually don't. They'll come up with something and it's pure projection. So you have this sort of quality where people think that you're really easy to read and they're happy to read you, and 9 times out of 10 they're completely wrong, or they go off in a different direction, or it's just a focus of what you wanted to focus on, but it's not even nearly, like they'll see something like you're really emotional. Well, duh, you know, but when they go further, there's really nothing there. They're just talking about themselves, and they kind of show themselves to be who they are in that moment, and then you can assess who they are and then move on accordingly. But there's very few people who can sit down and actually look you in the eye and come up with 10 exact traits that you are and really break you down into who you are and really know who you are. It's not that you're difficult to get to know. It's just that you've got the stoic presence. You do things secretively. You do things behind closed doors. But there's an aspect of your personality that's quite open, that invites people in to say that, oh, I've got you. I know exactly how you are. And again, they're never right. And at least even if they have a jumping off point, they're never right. And what they do is it's very easy to sort of pigeonhole you into something that's really obvious, and then they never come up with anything that's nuanced, you know. So this is the way that you've been. Now this has been kind of a difficult way in a way, because you felt as though you lived life on your own terms in many ways, but it closed you off because you were so secretive. It closed you off to being integrated into the world in the way that you want it to be. You know, one of the things that you want is pure connection. We all do. Your soul family is coming in. You've had a myriad of different people that have come in. A lot of the people in and around you that's come in have been there to show you the old sort of methods of doing things, and to bring up and to play out old karma, which has been played out, and you're on the other side of that now. And you've always had a sprinkling of gorgeous people that have been in your life. Your guides definitely worked with you, with people that you're around. You may have been with, I want to say, you know, narcissists, or, you know, you may have been around people who had their own agenda, but throughout those clumps or groups of people, there were always 1 or 2 people you really could rely on. Now, they may not have stayed throughout your life, or you may not be in actual proper contact with them every week or every day, but they're always there for you. Your guides always gave you somebody to rely on, somebody who really saw you, somebody who really believed in you, somebody who was non-judgmental, even when you had all this other crap in and around you. So that secrecy notion of who you are, there was a little bit of protection going on. So you didn't get to truly connect to the external world in the way that you wanted to, because you had so much karma coming in, pile 3, very, very old soul. So a lot of old karma to work through, but that karma's worked through, and working through that karma has made you really strong. Now, what you're looking for right now, pile 3, is absolute and total connection. You're ready for that connection, and you know the way in which you've worked throughout your life in the world, when this very secretive, all cards to my chest, not showing you anything kind of thing, and allowing people to sort of, as we say, hang themselves. Like we said, when people have decided that they knew who you were, what they were really doing is they were judging you, and they really weren't willing to look at who you were. And some people were actually looking at you to see what they could get from you, what kind of traits they could work with from you. Not exactly what they could exploit, but what they could use. You know, you've not always been around people who wanted to sort of figure out you. They wanted to figure you out so they could not be intimidated by you because you have a lot of power, or they could utilize something within your personality or exploit or something like that. Now, it may not have been in the forefront of their brain, because they may have saw themselves as being ambitious, or this is what it takes to get ahead. But that's kind of the energy that you've had in and around you. So there's been an essence of protection. Now, you've gone ahead and learned who you were in a very secretive fashion behind closed doors. And that way you could sort of, again, you know, you just allowed people to sort of project upon you. And especially in the last like 4 or 5 years, you've really noticed that when you let people project upon you and you're really able to see what they're doing, again, they hang themselves very quickly by showing you who they are, and specifically what it is they want from you. So, and they don't necessarily, when they've walked away from the conversation that you've had, they would probably see themselves as the victor, but you're like, okay. And so you definitely, you're able to see people through and through. You're able to see people's natures, whether they're good or bad. We all have good or bad. Where we will have darkness, we will have light. There is no good person, there is no bad person. We're an amalgam of everything, right? But you're able to see where that person is, if they've given in a little bit more to the darkness at that point. And we go through different phases where we do, and how they're willing to work with the darkness. Now, there are people who've given themselves a little bit over to the darkness, but they're working with it in such an alchemical way that it's not hurting anybody else. You know, there's so many different variants to this that are not harmful for other people to be in and around them. But you're able to go through and see people's natures immediately. Now, if you're not able to see it immediately with a context, where I'm going in with this very specific notion of figuring out somebody else, then just the energy in and around you, you're able to break it down where they are, and you know, and what path they're taking at this particular time based on the energy that's in and around them pretty quickly. But you'll get a sense of that person, you know, even if immediately you feel a good sense of self from them, you know, a little bit later down the road, you might feel a little uneasy around them and you don't know why. And then as the weeks unfold, that's why. So you're able to do this with everyone in and around you. Now, the other thing is that when people are actually properly in and around you, not just a little bit in and around you in a sort of a obligatory fashion, you know, I work with this person, but I'm not really in and around them. When people choose to be in and around you, roommates, friends of friends, you know, when you're a little bit more of an intimate fashion, you've triggered that person into sort of losing it, right? You've had that sort of, people around you seem to lose it a lot more than other people in and around. So you've learned that your energy actually works as a trigger for others, and it's actually an activation for things to sort of fall apart for them, and to seemingly go a little bit off. Now they'll figure themselves out in a while, but it's almost like an explosion going off when you're in and around them, and you're right there, right in the middle of the blast. So that's another thing that you've noticed in yourself about your mentality and how you work with other people. So there's many different reasons that we're giving you that you would have worked, not on the sly, but definitely being secretive, keeping, you know, that poker face, keeping everything, you know, sort of protected to your heart. Because people have used things against you. People have reduced you to this very unofficial sort of archetype, and you know, when people keep doing it, it's boring. You know, I always say that if somebody comes and says something about me, I always pay attention. If two people say it, maybe it's true. But that's not necessarily what's going on, because the people that's talking about you, they share the same low frequency, and they share the same sort of opinion, and they can only see so far. So you're sort of redirecting and reclaiming sort of how you worked in the past to connect, or how you had to work in the past to work through your karma that didn't really enable you to connect properly in the way that you wanted to. Now, the way in which you dressed in the world, I am not surprised that you chose this pathway. The way in which you dressed in the world was confusing to other people. They did pick up a lot of different things because you were sort of a chameleon. And you didn't show yourself. You showed certain aspects of yourself. And even if somebody said, oh, you're really emotional, that's just kind of boring. What does that mean? There's no context there. Even when somebody said that they knew you, they would throw something obvious out, but there was no nuance. So you're looking for the nuance. You're looking for the nuance in life. You're looking for that nuance in connection. So that means that your new soul family coming in, the way in which you're going to connect into the world now is completely different to how you have done it before. Now, again, there's no judgment. You had to do it that way. You absolutely did need to protect yourself. You had a hell of a lot of karma coming in. We're even going to say this to you, Pal 3. Your life was not really even properly your life until later on in your life. We'll tell you why. If you're busy working through old karma, then you're not free to move forward, in a brand new way if you're constantly working through karma, right? So for those of you who are sitting there and going, oh, I'm a late bloomer, maybe it's too late for me to do. No, absolutely not. This was arranged way before you came down. You knew that you, as an old soul, you would have a lot of karma. You knew you would be a late bloomer. And you knew that when you came into whatever success and whatever it is that you wanted for this lifetime, whatever connection that you wanted, you would meet that person later. You would have, for some of you, this is a particular part of the general message. This is not for everybody. You would have your children later. You would meet your partner later. You would do whatever it is that you wanted to do later. For those of you who have done it younger, that's fine. That's part of it too. But you're still coming into this new way of connecting. This new soul family that's coming in, again, you've had aspects of this soul family, may not be figuratively around you, but there's an actual soul family that's coming in for you, that's actually in and around you. You've always had these sprinklings of people, these earth angels that have kept you sane. And that's the way, again, to reiterate how it was set up. Otherwise it would have been too hard for you to go through all of this karma without a ray of light of people. There were times when you were like, are people just shits? Is there no good people out there? That's why you've had these earth angels, these rays of light to remind you that there is beauty out there. You just have to go through this karma. So again, you're ready to move into this new promise of this new essence of the soul family coming in with this new level of integrity, with this new level of being seen in and around you like you've never been seen before. You're also ready to move into this leadership role that you've always done on a smaller effect, but real leadership role, real integrity, this beautiful essence of how you speak. You have a very clear, articulate way of speaking. You speak completely from the heart. You also take no crap. I definitely would not want to piss you off and then walk down a dark alley without you coming at me. You definitely don't take any shite. At times it might take a really long time for you to anger to get to that way, because you're always waiting for that other person to sort of shine their light and come back. And you always give people, as we say at home, a wide berth. For people to see their actions and become responsible for them. Because in your lifetime, you have seen people who have really messed up and then become responsible for their actions and come back into your life. And you love that. So you want to give people a wide berth in order to be able to do that. But, 9 times out of 10, I would say for you, maybe 7 or 8 times out of 10, that's not happened. But it has happened. So it is possible. So you may take a time to anger, but when you get to that point, you're done. Now, even when you say you're done, if that person comes back with integrity, and you can feel that in somebody, you can feel the real truth. You can feel a version of truth that they have versus the universal truth. You can, again, as we've said, we're reiterating, you can see everything in everyone, which makes everybody extremely uncomfortable because they can sense it, that you have that power, even if they don't know that you have that power. They can sense it from you, and they can sense that uncomfortability. And you have that light too. So any darkness that people have, again, it will be shined into the light and come into fruition. And in the past you've been there for the blow, but you're not doing that anymore. So everything that you've done has led you to this moment. And the goddess Freyja is coming into love. There's fertility coming in for you too. I don't know if any of you are pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, whether you think you can or not. There's a really new beginning, and I keep seeing a birth. So it's either figurative birth insofar as like a new version of you coming in, but specifically that's happening anyway. I would say specifically it's a new birthing idea, or a new way to take your business to the next level. But it's a significant birth in your business, or it's an actual birth. So it's either business or birth. That's pretty much what I'm picking up on. But I'm definitely picking up fertility in this pile 3. In a way that, this fertile ground that we talked about in pile 1 and 2, but this is actual fertility here in pile 3. So there's an essence. We talked about, giving birth and the essence of birth in pile 2, but this is literal. And, and putting down the stakes, everything that you've done before to get yourself, you're on the other side of that karma now. So really allow in that soul family. And it's time for you to shine in that leadership role. It's time for you to show the world what you've learned when you went through all of that darkness. An incredible amount of darkness. A lot of people have projected that darkness upon you too. So you've had many different levels and layers of darkness that you've had to work through, your own, others, bloodline, ancestors, past lives for sure. All of this wisdom is ready to come out and ready to move you on to the next level. And the way in which you will connect into this world will be brand new. It will be on a completely different level. There's always going to be an essence of the secrecy for you. That's never going to go. But for you, just to be clear for this reading, we're going to call it mysterious, right? So the secrecy that you once had, you once used for protection, again, no judgment, you needed to do it that way, is now shifting into an air of mystery, right? You've always had the air of mystery too, but that being secretive is moving into that air of mystery, that air of magic, that sort of power that you have, being okay with your own energy. And now when people project upon you, it'll be really obvious that they're projecting. And, everything will be different now. It'll be sort of like it'll bounce off, whereas before you took it in. But everything will be bounced off you now. And again, the way in which you dress, the way in which you present yourself, the way in which that you literally integrate yourself fully with your intuition and heart open with this beautiful celebratory fashion of who you are is brand new. So that's coming in for you too. And this is something that you've always wanted to do. Now, for those of you, again, who think that you're late bloomers, oh, time is running out, or this can't move quick enough, we want to remind you again that, you were always supposed to be a late bloomer. And also the way in which you are about to integrate into the world would not have worked for you beforehand. We're very clear in seeing that there was an essence of protection. You did have to be secretive. This is the way in which you had to armor yourself in a way in order to work through all of that karma. Now that armor is melting away. It's no longer needed. So you could not have been in the world integrating before. So for those of you, because sometimes you can be really hard on yourself, you're less hard on other people. Even when you're hard on other people, you really look at the actual logistics of why they're not as good as they could be and what it is that they're doing. You're really practical about it. You're not just like, oh, they're a shithead, But when it comes to you can be very hard on yourself. So if you happen to be looking back, and again, this could be just a message for a certain portion of you, but if this is for you, then please don't look back on your life and go, oh, why didn't I do that 10 years ago? You couldn't have done it 10 years ago. It wasn't safe for you to do 10 years ago. If you had done that 10 years ago, if you had been more open, you wouldn't have gone through those karmic lessons. It's almost like you had to put your head down and get through that tunnel. You had to do it this way. And then those karmic lessons would be forever coming up and up and up. Yes, you had to sacrifice a certain aspect of your life through disconnection in some ways. We want to say disconnection because it's not exactly the connection that you wanted. But you had to do that in order to come back into this lifetime, to go through all of that old stuff, all of that old karma, to release into that beautiful wisdom that you now have. In order to be the person that you wanted to be in this lifetime. So you've only just become brand new. You know, not everybody has that kind of karma. When you look back, and some people have really easy lives. You know, I don't want to be flippant. Everybody has an easier life than I do. You know, when you start saying things like everybody has their own stuff that they have to deal with, right? But people have a certain amount of supports. People have whatever. It's not that they're not old souls, but they haven't gathered the kind of karma yet that you have, right? And it doesn't mean that anybody's right or wrong, anyone's better or worse than anybody else. Everybody chooses to come back to Earth whenever they want to. They can come back whenever they want. Old souls have just decided to come back here more often than not. That's all that is. It doesn't mean that you have more wisdom than other people. And in fact, those newer souls that have seemingly had easier lives at the beginning, there's a lot to learn from them too. Because they've connected a lot easier, or they've connected in a more genuine way. Not a genuine way, they've connected in a seemingly easier way to the universe, and have solidified themselves in the world at large a little bit quicker than you could have. But when you get there, you're gonna take off in ways where, we've said this before, where people be like, oh my goodness, who is this person? All of a sudden everybody's talking about this person. But again, you've been laying the groundwork your entire life. But you're ready. The harvest is ready. You're on the other side of that karma. You showing that darkness and showing that duality. We're moving through duality and polarity. We're seeing that in every aspect of the world right now, from the spiritual community to politics. You know, this good versus bad narrative, when everybody has good and bad within them, and stop separating it. You have this universal truth, and with your wisdom to integrate, and then the solidarity that you will get coming in from your soul family. And I'm feeling like a lot of people are meeting their significant others too. This is a brand new way of you integrating on your own terms, with this freer sense of not needing to protect yourself in the world, where you're grounding into your own magic and your own energy. It's very exciting. Also, a lot of you have come back to have greater lives. When I say greater lives, it's if you're worrying that you're running out of time, a lot of you will reach an older age because you knew that you were going to be late bloomers, and you were here to come in with the vision and succeed in that mission and that vision in this lifetime. You will not be taken from this earth before that has happened. Everybody decides, people decide when they're going to leave this earth, and this, that, and the other. So my sister left this earth when I was very, very little, and I definitely get a sense that she knew she wasn't going to be older. You know, she was very in tune. Not everybody has that sense, but you know when you're going to live a long life. You are going to live a long life in order to be able to see everything that you wanted to see come into fruition. You organized it that way in this lifetime. So if there's any aspect of you, and again, if this is a small aspect of this general reading just for you, then please don't beat yourself up. There is enough time for you to do absolutely everything. You were always going to be a late bloomer. You just were. And in fact, the person that you're with or are attracting into your life is also going to be a late bloomer. So we have these soul cards here. So I'm going to give a message for the first one, but I really want you to connect with the message too, a personal message from Goddess Freyja to you, and that's why we're using this. So let's see what we have here. And actually, I'm getting the notion that I'm going to be quiet here, and this is a message from Goddess Freyja to you. So whatever you believe it is, tune into your energy here. And the one thing that I'm getting to is to remind yourself that you've never done things the way that everybody else has done things, but you have a huge amount of passion and fire. So constantly comparing yourselves to people who have gone down a linear fashion and worked very hard to get to where they're going, you know, fair fucks to them. Fantastic stuff. But you know, instead of moving forward, you'll go zigzag, you'll do this, you'll go down, you'll go up, you know, so remind yourself that you're, you know, judging yourself or stepping into that moment of clarity where you understand that you've got a unique soul and your path is very unique. So your movement forward might look a little bit different to others, but trust me, you'll get there. So if you're at all trying to compare yourself to people who have done things a certain way, marketed themselves a certain way, that of course works for them. It's not going to work for you. But there's another way for you. Your guides are working with you. Trust me. Even if it's not clear to you how your unique spirit will get out there in the way in which you want to, trust me, that help is coming. That support is coming to rise you up in the way that you're supposed to. And it will all make sense when you're already in it. So that's your first card. And let's do your last remaining card here. From the goddess Freyja to you. Gorgeousness. Absolutely gorgeousness. And this is just a reminder too that all of your wisdom, a lot of your wisdom comes from the darkness. You're really here to show people that, you know, the old notion of evil is not quite what people think it is. You know, you're here to shed the light on the darkness, bring it into this whole sort of cleansing affair where we don't have to separate past duality. This gorgeousness, not be afraid of it, not to be afraid of it within yourself or anywhere else. And this could be a very small portion of it too for you for messages. Some of you might actually be working in the future with not necessarily demonology, but with an essence of what people believe to be evil, be it with the human mind, with psychology, how the mind breaks down great grief and great abuse and how it turns into sort of psychopathic. This is very specific, so this may not be for a lot of people, but how the mind breaks down or how evil is interpreted within the body, within the psyche, within the soul. This is something that you might be able to shine light on, that you might be bringing into your practice at some sort in a grounded and bringing in this new information that we absolutely need. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So personal message here from Freyja to you, whatever it is that is. So that's what I have for you, Pile 3. I hope this resonated with you, gave you some support, some clarity, some healing, maybe even some activation. If it did, feel free to give me a thumbs up and do let me know if it resonated down below in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. And of course, feel free to subscribe and hit that bell icon. We would love to have you here at Unicorn Light Tarot. Be part of our little family here, or beautiful family, not little, part of our family here on a little space on the internet. And don't forget, there's many ways to be in this energy and to be supported. There's the Unicorn School of Light courses are below. Everything that you need to get some more support in any way, shape, or form is down below in the comments section. So if you feel as if you're guided in that direction, please feel free to check it out. We've already had hundreds of people go through the courses, either paid or free courses in the Unicorn School of Light. I get messages every day with people, you know, just giving thanks, and I'm so thankful to be able to do this work, and so thankful that that you guys are getting something out of it, and not only that, but are renewed and feel healed and are healed and all of that. It's the reason why we do this. You know, it's the reason why we give our time, so we can make a difference and support you in any way possible. So if you feel as though that's where you're going in that direction, all the details are down below. All right, my darlings, Pile 3, you stay safe and sane. And until we meet again, bye-bye.